this dream of yours, this thing you're trying to build. How much can I throw in your face for you to stop doing anything, whatever you want to do? That thing you call passion, how much can I give you to stop doing that? Many people are given money, some little amount of money, just to abandon their dreams. In considering job opportunities, money is not the most important factor to consider. The real opportunity cost is what you lose at the expense of the salary. The salary, what is it that is going to buy? Is it going to buy every personal life or any future that you have? Here's the question I want to explore in this episode. What is your price? At what price can you change your mind? What is your value worth? Or what can we offer you for you to change your ideas, for you to betray your friends and loyalty? What is your price? Now, this is the question I want to explore today, and I hope we get somewhere with this question. Let's do this. Hi, Salam Alaikum. I want to welcome you back to Human Bound Podcast. My name is Ali Hambal and I am your host. I want to extend my deep appreciation. Thank you very much for stopping by to listen to this podcast. It means a lot to me. Why don't I share with you a personal story? And it is a story about how I started taking passion in graphic design, in artwork. And this was like many years ago when I did not even have a computer. And that was the day when internet was very scarce at the moment. So you would have to go to what we call internet cafe. Now, internet cafe in my Zongo community, oh my goodness, one of the early internet cafes we had there belonged to the current interior minister, who is the member of parliament of Aswasi constituency, Honorable Muntaka Mubarak. And that was Mubzi. That was the internet cafe that we used to visit. That was many years ago. So I would go to that internet cafe, right? And I would sit on there and I would try to do things with the computer. And usually some young men, when they come in there, they try to find pen pals. Now, pen pals, I don't know, pen pals are not a thing today. They used to be a thing because back in the day, people from my community would try to find pen pals. That's like some kind of a friends from the United States, from the United Kingdom, from the West, so that they are friends with them. And there was this website, MySpace. I don't think it exists now. That was way before Facebook. And MySpace kind of connect people with people, and when they have these pen pals, they develop some kind of a friendship, and through that they become closer and closer, and some of them try to extort some money from them, and that is how some people actually move from schooling and all of that, and they just spend the whole day in the internet cafe, try to establish some kind of friendship with the white men, and some of them, they kind of develop a deeper relationship, and they just give them an invitation to travel from Zongo all the way to the West. And that is a very good way to live. It was an aspiration that the young people of my day really look up to have a white friend, a pen pal, and then they would just travel with them. Some actually gave them a stipend every week. They take them as a son, adopt them, and every month or every week they send them a stipend, some kind of money or something like that. And we find them cool. Okay, we found them cool because, well, I failed. I was a failure in this adventure because I did not have them pen pals. I tried, then you have some fuel, and it was not quite sustainable. So I did not have a very good pen pal. I did not have one. But I know friends of mine who had good pen pals who actually supported them in life, and some of them actually took them from the community and traveled abroad, and they became like, some well-to-do people in the community. I was a failure. I was jealous. But then when I failed that, in the search on the computer, I was always fascinated about design and art anyway. I discovered, there was this software that started coming up, and you could use it to like combine two pictures and you could do some amazing things. And I started exploring that. I did not have a computer in my room. What I did was to just go to the internet cafe. And instead of looking for pen pals, I looked to edit on the computer. So that whenever I go to the internet cafe, I have to sit on that same computer because that was where I installed my software. Now, funny thing, sometimes they come and they will delete your software. And then I'll go like, I would have to install it again. And guess what? It takes ages to download the software again. Sometimes it takes days to download the software. That was how slow the internet was. Anyways, long story short, I loved it and I developed that skill and I started developing it to kind of learn how to use Photoshop, and then Photoshop started becoming a thing and I was learning that. That was way before I even owned a PC of my own. I used to do that in the internet cafe. Anyways, this fascination grew and I grew this skill, and now I become someone who really know how to do this. And practice over a period of time makes you have more flair and more experience, and you would know how to do these things. So little did I know that this passion over a period of time would actually transform to become something of a skill, like a real skill that could be used to earn money. I didn't know that. I was just passionate about it. And then people kind of noticed in the community that, hey, this guy could do this, this guy could do that. Now, long story short, people started approaching me. Oh, why don't you edit this for me? And then I would do it for them for free, of course. I did it for passion. Why wouldn't you do this for me? And I would do it. I'm talking about Zongo community, right? And so I started editing things for people. I started doing 1 or 2 editings for people, and yeah, people really thanked me for that, and people knew I could do that. And then it reached a point where I noticed, I think people are making money out of this skill, and I was spending a lot of my time doing these things. Why won't people then pay me for it? Now, here's the catch. I started to tell people that, no, I would have to get some payment for this. And as soon as I introduced some payment, my Zongo people started running away from me. Yes, why would you charge me for this work? Come on, we are friends. Come on, Ale, why would you charge me for this? These were people who would bring this work for me to do, and I would spend ages to do this work. And it was tiring, and I would spend sometimes days to do this work, hours and hours of my electricity, of my own computer, which I bought out of my own pocket, and I invested in all this and invested my time in doing their work and making them look beautiful and all of that, and then they don't want to pay. The moment I introduced pay me, they started to run away. Until one day, when I did it for someone who took it seriously, and then he agrees to pay me. Now the question becomes, how much is this work? I didn't know you have to price it. I thought you just have to get paid and they would know how much to pay. But I did not know the market. I did not know that skill of mine, I could be paid for it. I could get paid for it a certain amount. So he asked me, how much do you want for this work? Now this also became a dilemma. It became a complex question for me. How much is this your work worth? This was a passion I have developed over a period of time. Now, I wasn't a world-class excellent at the moment. But I was okay at the standard of my community at the time. Okay. But then, how much was it? I didn't know. So I just said anything that made not just me, but him comfortable. I gave him a price that would make him come back. Okay. Something like peanut. It didn't respond or correspond to the value of what I actually did. The time I wasted, the money I spent and invested, all of that, the skill, anything, I did not consider it. What did I consider? I considered his feeling. The price I'm giving him, is it going to offend him or not? So I made people pay me like peanuts, like nothing, for a really quite time consuming job because I did not know what my skill was worth. So this went on for a very long time. A very long time. And even with that, some people wouldn't want to pay. Isn't it amazing how the Zongo community doesn't want to pay you for what you are valued? Or maybe they do not appreciate the value. Now, this is sad to admit, but our community would literally run away from you if you start like trying to get paid for your value. They would give you a lot of thank you and a lot of I appreciate it. They would say shukran, jazakallah, and they would say thank you very much. But how about pay me? Now, how about that? I understand you want to bless me, okay? I understand you want to maintain our good relationship. How about maintaining our good professional relationship? Like, how about that? How about support a guy who is trying to create an earning stream for himself? How about you helping a guy to fish than to give him the fish? How about that? How about pay me for the work I have done for you? This is a concept I early on came to appreciate about the Zongo community. I'm not trying to say the Zongo community is rotten. I'm just sharing an experience. An experience I believe many of my Zongo people who have tried to start something meaningful, and they would always have to face this reality that we would rather say thank you with the word of mouth than to say thank you with actually paying for what you have done. Now, paying is honorable. When a person does you service, pay him for what he is worth. So many people like do this, and I don't think it's fair. I think the fair thing to do is to pay a person whenever he has rendered a service. Where I stay here, so many people, even the fathers and sons, fathers have businesses and they employ the services of their children and they pay them, even if it was an hour worth of work. But why do we feel like we are friends? So just do me this work. I don't care if it takes you 10 hours to do it. Just do it and I wouldn't have to pay you anything. I don't think that is fair. I don't think that is actually inspiring people to grow their business. That's why most people would want to opt for a different market, because the existing market would rather dwell more on relationship and taking your time and skills and value for granted than to actually pay you for what you did. I think that is so wrong. I think that does not actually inspire and move people to do things that they really want to do. So this was what I experienced. Now, the question then became, how do I actually value my work? I never considered it. And that was why, how come I actually was paid really less, until I came to a hard grip of the reality that no, I would have to I would have to just put my foot on the ground. Nope. Until you pay me this, I either lose the market. I rather lose the work than to make you pay me this much. And that's exactly how much I lost so many customers. And then I gained more customers and replaced them with more valuable customers who actually now really appreciate the value of what I was doing. Now they understand and they really appreciate the value of whatever I'm doing. For example, if you are into logo design, for example, you need to understand it takes ages if you really want to do a good thing. Now, I know my Zongo community, my people, there was a time when everyone wants to create a logo. Everybody wants to create a logo. Why? Because there is a sister, yeah, and she had opened a shop and she has this thing and she calls it a logo. And then she was paid just 25 Ghana cedis for it. Why then do you charge me 300 Ghana cedis for it? I might as well just go to this guy. They do a lot of things and they call it logo, well, by their standards, okay? Everyone does a logo. And because it is so at the low level in terms of appreciation, in terms of really the content of what they have done, they don't care. They just want something out there. Yeah, but you see, for anyone who wants to make the logo design, a profession of his, what they do is to keep track, is to keep some kind of a library. You want to keep a portfolio. You want to keep some kind of an album of the work you have done so that you would use it in your future work. That's why you would have to take your time to design any logo. You understand that, but they don't. They want you to just do anything. You rather lose that business than to do it. That's what I did, and I lost a lot of them. But then I replaced them with more qualitative ones. And later on, some of them are coming back, and they wouldn't have any option but to go with the standard. Point is, I suffered before I set up my value, and then it just went on from there. Still struggling with value chain and value and pricing is quite a difficult thing. But the question is, when I did not understand that value, people really paid me less. Now, in answering this question, what is your value? What is your worth? We all hold a certain view of ourselves. We all hold a certain ideas, certain values about ourselves that we would never change it. As for me, I am this guy and there is nothing that would change me. As for me, I hold this principle so firm, this is my value, and nothing would make me sacrifice that value. I understand. It's good to have values. It's good to have principles. But here's the question. What is the price of your value? What is the price of your principle? Perhaps you are enjoying some peace of mind in your life. Do you have a price for it? What is your price? I will try to explore all these questions. So if you could bear with me, I would just want to share a very tragic story with you. And you may not find it quite tragic because you already have a very negative notion about the person I'm about to talk to you about, but I just want you to keep an open mind. Now imagine a lady who came from Lebanon. She came from Lebanon, and you know how Lebanese are, and you know what Lebanon is and how unstable Middle East was. Now she traveled from Lebanon to the United States. And she went into school, very young girl. She tried to assimilate into the system. But she felt a bit insecure about herself. A bit insecure. Why? Because she felt she was losing weight. She was so skinny. She doesn't have anything to bring people, and men in particular, to bring their attention to her. So she tried to improve some part of her body that would make her noticeable by people. So she began to grow, especially her breasts, and it became quite nice. And yeah, sorry about that. Why am I saying sorry? Anyways, it was nice by her estimation and by the estimation of many men whose eye always get caught by those. Yes. What ended up happening was she just started to get all the attention from men, and she started to enjoy it. She started to like it. One day she was walking down the street and a gentleman just approached her. And she was looking for a job, actually. She was looking for a job. And this gentleman approached her and he said to her, "Young lady, you are beautiful, very gorgeous. I believe I could work with you. If you could just give me the chance, you could make a lot of money. Why don't you come with me and I would introduce you to a job? Because see, don't get it twisted. You are beautiful. What you have with you is just like a money machine. You could make a lot of money. Why don't you come with me to see this location? You could be a model. I want you to be a model." And then she was like, wow, that's a very beautiful thing. It's a very great opportunity. So what did she do? She just took him up his word and they went. The first day she saw this room, everything was nice. The staff, the workers, the employees were so nice to her, and she really felt like this was it. So the next day, she came back, and lo and behold, they were actually offering her a job as a porn actress. Yes, they wanted her to do porn. She was a young girl in her early 20s. Very young. She did not understand what was going on. And here she was in the presence of all these big men. When I say big men, I mean people with so much sophistication in the world. They know how to manipulate people. They are so sophisticated in terms of how the world is run, in terms of recruiting, because they were recruiting a young girl to do some of the things that are very, very unthinkable for many people, especially a lady from Middle East. So they gave her this contract as a young lady coming back from wherever she came back from. The trauma, the insecurity, and all of that came together And then she said, you know what, I'm going to do this. And then right there, she just signed a paper that would decide her fate for almost all her life, because she was selling her body to this company, and this company would have the power to use whatever she did in front of their camera. Look at this in the contract, in perpetuity. That means forever. They are going to own your body, your privacy, for the rest of your life, and there is nothing you can do about it. She signed it. She became a porn star. I don't know if you have noticed, I'm talking about this porn actress, very famous porn actress, Mia Khalifa. Yeah, many people know this lady. She has gotten out of the industry, and she is talking a lot about how dark the industry is and how badly she felt during her time there. And there was this controversial video she made, which I was watching a very moving interview she granted to BBC Hard Talk, and he asked her some really deep questions. They were very difficult for her to talk about, but she did anyway. Strong woman. The highest, the most famous, most popular video of her is in the Middle East. This video she made with hijab on. Now that is quite provocative, and people felt really strongly about it, and she received so many threats to her life because of what she did. Now, that is not the point I'm trying to get in. What I'm trying to get in is what made it easy, and what pushed her to sell her body to this company. What made her do that? Now, don't forget the question. The question is, what is your price? What would push you to sell something more valuable, like your body, to a company in perpetuity? Now, first, analyzing her situation, first, some sense of insecurity is in that. Like the feel like I am not accepted. Now, I want validation. I don't know if this sounds familiar, because many people actually have this deeply seated feeling of insecurity and lack of validation, so that they would have to seek it elsewhere, especially on the internet. On TikTok, it's happening rapidly. Every time people are on there seeking validation. So desperate, so desperate. Sometimes when I see people doing certain things on the internet, I just understand straight away how desperate these people are. What are they desperate about? They are desperate for validation. They are desperate for attention. It would blow your mind to know this about Mia Khalifa's revenue. After doing a lot of videos, going viral, bringing down millions of dollars to these companies, she was paid something just little above $10,000. Whereas the companies are making millions out of her. So she became money machine. I don't know if this sounds familiar. Any young lady out there who is trying to kind of rationalize what she's doing, because there is 1 inch away from doing an evil to become a devil. Now, what is the difference between these two things? Look, doing evil is like you acting out of your dark nature, but some people snap out of it. They have done it, they have regretted it, and now they want their way out. Sometimes it takes them ages to get out, but they are seeking the light out of it. They did evil, they want out. But what about those who transcend and they move further from being evil to become the devil themselves? Now, this is the thing. The difference is simply this. There is evil in each and every one of us, so we act evil sometimes. But if you hold an ideology to kind of justify your evil ways, that is how you form a devil. Because your evil act, now you hold an ideology about it. Now, if you have an ideology, then you propagate it. You try to bring people in there. So that if you are on TikTok or if you are anywhere else and you are doing all these things, first, people could really see the desperation in you. People would really see the desperation in you. Don't think people don't. People see and they know you are a desperate one. Whatever you are doing, you are just desperate for attention. You are desperate for validation, which is a very dangerous character. You are insecure in certain things. That's why people actually chase these things. And if you are trying to defend this or justify it in a way, it means you are trying to kind of coin or fashion or design some kind of ideology around it. And that is how evil men are made. Think about all these evil men. They have ideology about their evil act. Stalin had an ideology, and he thinks it is better, so he has to do this evil to satisfy the ideology. Hitler had an ideology, so he believed he had to do that. Genghis Khan had an ideology, so he has to do that. These evil men, everyone has an ideology. That's how come he believed his ideology justifies his actions. So Mia Khalifa, she wanted out because they recruited her because she was weak. She said, if you want to, just go on BBC Hard Talk, Mia Khalifa, and watch that interview. Watch that interview and tell me that it doesn't move you. You see, when you have all these elements down at the bottom of your heart, especially in combination with youth, as a young man, you are looking for a way to belong. That's what most young men do. We try to belong. We try to find our way. That is how young people like ourselves trying to grow. So everyone is trying to find a branch to hold on to. It's like we've fallen from the sky as young people, but everyone don't want to fall down. So we want to have a branch of this huge tree called life adventure. So we want to find something to belong to. We want to find a branch to hold firm so that young men don't care what branch they hold. Some of them, they take refuge in ideologies, in movements that are so radical, but then they feel some sense of belonging. And there is this guy at the top of the chain who is moving them. And the ideology is so cynical, it is so radical. But then, hey, they belong to something. They belong. And most of these guys, young men, they would grow one day. And then they would go like, wow, I can't believe I have done this to myself. And for some people, it will be too late. Look, as a young people, we try to belong, and rightly so. We try to find meaning, and rightly so. We try to build a life, rightly so. But it is very important, I believe, to know which branch to hold on to. Because there are certain branches, they would temporarily give you shelter, but then they would break and they would let go of you. And you would not see the end of how deep you would fall into the abyss of evil and darkness. And that is the ordeal of Mia Khalifa. Now, she held on to this branch because she was weak to see it. She was stupid. She was young. She was silly. But she held on to the porn industry. And it sank her deep into her darkest pit. Now she had to get out. But you wouldn't go without a fight. Now, there is a statement she made. Aside from being lacking validation and all of that, youth and stuff, she said one thing. Coming from Middle East, she bore this hatred towards a certain culture. And I don't know if it's a hatred or anything. I did not hear her say that. But what she said that's quite striking to me is that the rebellion. She mentioned the word rebellion. She is doing that to rebel. Rebelling against what? I don't know. Do you know when you are from a community and the community hasn't treated you right? From Zongo community, for example, I always mention Zongo community because that is my background. That is where I grew up. When you have a community that is not supportive, a community that is not just not supportive, but seeks to fight you, to bring you down, that all the system and all the climate and atmosphere in the community doesn't actually fertilize your growth. It's rather kind of feed on your growth so that you can't grow. It's like the whole community is against growth. I don't know. I'm not saying necessarily that is the case for every individual in the Zongo community, but the fact is, the climate there does not actually promote a lot of growth. And the support mechanism in the community is not altogether adequate. There is much to be desired about it. So that many people feel that the community has turned its back against them, that they don't think the community would help them to get to a level they want to go. I don't know if you understand what I mean, because many people feel betrayal. Many people feel betrayed by the community because the community is always quick to judge you. The community is quick to turn its back against you. You are in the community trying to do something diverse, trying to do something good, trying to get ahead of yourself. But then the community is quick to start actually pinching the faults, the shortcomings in your venture, rather than try to seal the loopholes in your venture. It will damn you. It will condemn you. Sometimes it will condemn you to hell. That's what the community does. If not hell, it will condemn you to kufr. You are just simply a kafir. Okay? You are simply stupid. The community is so quick to turn its back against you so that many young men feel this kind of disloyal towards the community. Think about this. A Zongo man is so very loyal to individuals who help him. And rightly so, rightly so. If you have an individual who has helped you in life, why wouldn't you be loyal to him? Of course you are loyal to him. That's why Zongo people, my people, alhamdulillah, we are so loyal to political fathers. Yes, we are so loyal to them. And rightly so. I'm not saying there is anything wrong about that. It's good because, hey, the person has helped you in life. Why shouldn't you be loyal? Why shouldn't you try to advance his cause? Why shouldn't you hold him as the idol? Because he is the one who has actually taken you out of your uncertain future. But now he has paved the way for you. And now you can see your way clearly because he is your political father. And of course, you would give him loyalty, unquestioning loyalty sometimes, which is quite dangerous. But we give them unquestioning loyalty at the expense sometimes of the community. After all, the community hasn't helped you much. That's why I think many people do not have enough loyalty towards the community that they have towards certain individuals. So that individual loyalty is way beyond loyalty towards the community. I believe it's a dangerous thing, but hey, that is what we have in our communities. We have more loyalty towards individuals and personalities than we have loyalty towards the community and the good cause of the community. So that people are so much loyal to certain imams than they are to the good cause of the community. They don't care what state the community falls in, but hey, they are loyal to their imam. Some are so loyal to their political fathers, why? And they don't care what damage comes to the community, but hey, they are loyal to their political fathers. But some people are just loyal to whoever, a business guru, whoever. But loyalty in my community, most of it has gone to individuals at the expense of the community. So that when people are able to get out of this community, this culture that turned its back against them, they harbor this kind of ill feeling towards the community, that they don't feel they need to do anything to the community. And if they ever want to do anything to the community, it's just to advance their personal and selfish gains. And that's why they really don't care about what service they would do to the community, but what service they would render the community that would benefit them more than it would benefit the community. So that if the benefit of the service is in 100%, they would have to get 70% of the benefit, whereas the community would get 30% of the benefit. Unfortunately, that is the reality. So when a person feels like the community has turned its back, then he would want to rebel. He would want to rebel. That's why we have so many people talking ill of the communities or any community that did not support them. This feels bad. This hurts. I am from this community, and this is how my community serves me. This is how my community pays me back. I feel like I don't belong to this community. This community is bad. Everyone is evil. There are people on TikTok, I see some of them, and they are saying everyone in the community is stupid. Yeah, I see them sometimes. Everyone in the community, in Zongo community, is stupid. The chiefs are stupid. The ulamas are stupid. The politicians are stupid. Everyone is stupid. And sometimes they say everyone is even going to hell. Why? That is how much they are rebelling against the community. Because the community they feel has not helped them in any way. Mia Khalifa had this, and she wanted to do that video just to get back at the community. And she felt she now has to save herself. So like Mia Khalifa said, sold her body to this porn industry. So many people have similar stories about how they sold their soul. Now, there is this beautiful saying the prophet said, right? He says, every morning, people set out into the world. And there are those who would save themselves from the world. And there are those who would sell their soul to the world. We all set out into the world in the morning, but by the time we get back, some people would sell their soul to the devil, and some would save their soul by the evening time. Stephen Bartlett is a British podcast host, The Diary of the CEO. Very, very successful podcast, and I believe it ranked the second in terms of ranking when it comes to the world podcast ranking. The first is Joe Rogan Experience. The second is the Stephen Bartlett's The Diary of the CEO. He is offered a deal of $100 million to kind of sign that deal against that podcast, but he turned it down. Why did he turn it down? His explanation is that he wants to maintain that freedom, that diversity, that ability to kind of do things he wants to do with the podcast. So he didn't want to sell it. This is why I say, look, if you have peace of mind, okay, if you are doing whatever you are doing as a young man, perhaps you are starting up a company, you are starting up a business, you are starting up a podcast, just I have started. God help me. But I am doing something that I love to do, isn't it? I love it. I love it. I love sitting on the computer to design. I love sitting on the computer to edit, to create. I love creating things. I love making content. I love these things. And it is something that I have been doing all my life. And I think to some level of appreciation, I am growing, okay? Because I love it and I want to be doing this for the rest of my life. That's what I want to do. Now, and I believe so many people are doing the same thing, not just sitting in front of the camera or speaking to the microphone. There are people are passionate about different things, isn't it? People are passionate about different things. But then the problem is money. Yeah, money. Money is always the problem. We are doing these things, but then we are in a stage where money has rendered us quite weak. So now the question is, how much can I give you, Ali? How much can I give you to stop doing all this? How much? I want you to come and work for me in my factory. I want you to come and work for me in my house, in my company. You are not going to do anything you do now. You are just going to sit in my office, take record of everything that comes in, everything that goes out. But I'm going to give you £5,000 a day. Wow. Now that's a lot of money. £5,000 a day. That's a lot of money. That's going to change my life. But you would have to work 7 days a week. You will not have 1 day off. I want you to be on the book 11 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I would pay you £5,000 a day. And you're going to do this for the next 20 years. And that is the contract. You are not allowed to quit in the next 20 years. Would you do that? This dream of yours, this thing you're trying to build, how much can I throw in your face for you to stop doing anything, whatever you want to do? That thing you call passion. How much can I give you to stop doing that? I believe this question is being answered. Many people are giving money, some little amount of money, just to abandon their dreams. Here is what I said a few days ago, I think weeks ago. I made this post on Facebook, right? I said, look, in considering job opportunities, money is not the most important factor to consider. Because if you follow the money, you might get it wrong. You might be hugely mistaken. So consider two people. One person is offered a job and he is paid like really well, but then he does not have time of his own. He does not have peace of mind. His life is not his. His life is bought. His time is bought. His mind is bought. His body is bought by the salary. But then he is getting a good salary and he is not making good use of the salary. He's just earning it. How about the person who was given who was given relatively small salary. But then he has the chance to live his life. He has peace of mind. He has time to build himself, and to build his future. He has time to invest in family. He has time to invest in building his empire, his own passion. He has time to do all of that. Now contrast this with the person who was given a lot of money but then denied all of that, and the person who was given little money but then he has the chance to do all of that. I think in taking up a job, the real opportunity cost is what you lose at the expense of the salary. I mean, the salary, what is it that is going to buy? Is it going to buy every personal life or any future that you have? That is worth considering. Because if you don't do that, what ends up happening is you take a job and then that job actually kills your future. It kills your peace of mind. Sometimes it even kills your health, gives you depression and all of that. So I'm just trying to throw that out there. As we are looking for a job, the real cost is what we lose by that salary. I believe that is very important. So the real question is, what is your value? When people give you some money, people are trying to recruit you, what is the value? How high a price do you have? The Prophet ﷺ, when he started this journey, he was given a lot of options. Now they gave him money, they gave him women, they gave him status. The question is, why did he reject all of those things? Why did he do that? These are like quick ways to get all these things. But he was so stubborn on his dream. He was so stubborn on what he was really doing. I want you to look into this as like a personal growth and ambition thing. This is from God, but why don't we personalize it in our lives to understand that some people would throw certain things along the way, and if you are not careful, they will just buy your future. They would buy your ambition. So really, this is a question I want us to explore. What is your price? Can you be bought? What is the high price? Now, here is the thing. Allah says that the Prophet told us that the highest price is that which God gave you, and that is heaven. If it is not that high, I don't think, if you have to sell your body, I think that is too much a cost to lose. If you have to sell your soul, that is too much to lose, I think. If you have to sell your future for some payment, I think that is so much to lose. I will talk about my experience in choosing jobs in some other episode. But why don't you consider all of what I have said and consider what your price is and know whether you are willing to give it or you are not willing to give it. Thank you very much for staying with me, and please do share your comments with me, share your ideas with me. I want to know what you think about this podcast. I want to know what you think about possible topics you want me to talk about, possible questions you want me to explore. I will be really grateful if you share them with me via your comments. I love your comments, or you send it to my email, lehumblecoach4you@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe and follow this channel. I would really appreciate it. My YouTube channel, and this will be available on all podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Apple Music, Audible, all of that. I truly appreciate your time. Until next time, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.